Hello everybody, this is Fernando for the all-new Urban Legends video. Alright everybody, let's go ahead and let's do another entry here. This one yet again based on one of your newer suggestions. My apologies for the delay on my videos. I've actually been working a lot of extra hours there at my job, and while it's a good opportunity to earn some more income, it just has made me a little bit more tired in the evenings to do these videos. But it is good to get back here to do another one for you. This one a very fascinating entry, and also in the sense that it's no longer there. The subject matter that I'm going to talk about here in a minute actually no longer exists, so more on that too later on. But at least there is still a lot of good info to share when this thing was around and why it seems to have a huge interest associated with it. So definitely a very good suggestion when it comes to my urban legend video here. But you're looking at a picture of what it was before. It goes by pretty much a very simple name. It's known as the Cursed Pillar. You know exactly why it's called that here, again in a very short minute. So let's go ahead and let's talk about all the fascinating information associated with this cursed or haunted object, whatever it was, at least when it was standing around. So here's how the story goes. This pillar had been around for a very long time. I don't know the exact date associated with it, but if you wanted to find it back then, it was part of an area known as the Downtown Augusta Market, which you're looking at a picture of here. We actually have, I think, one or two such markets very similar to this here in the Austin, Texas area. Very popular locations. That's when the weekend especially fills up. That's when people will be out buying like fruits and vegetables, trinkets, and so on. So I imagine that this area there, this Augusta market, very much has the same thing too in terms of popularity and the same type of things that you can buy there as well. Well, somewhere along the way, this pillar was also there at that market. I don't have an exact date. I'm guessing that based at least on this picture, it was at least from around 1829. Gives you an idea essentially of how long it's been there altogether, and it was there for a very long time. Somewhere along the way too, that's when the Cursed Pillar got its name, and here's how that story goes. So somewhere during that time period, again completely unknown exactly what the time period is, the date, the year even, somewhere along there was an evangelist, someone that wanted to preach right there by that pillar. Very mysterious when I was reading the information, because it makes you wonder why that pillar exactly. Why not, let's say, somewhere else where at least someone could sit down, maybe even by the shade, or inside some other type of more traditional building, usually built like, a church or something else for these matters. For whatever reason, this evangelist wanted to do so right there, right next to that pillar, and I imagine it was probably during a very busy day, again at the Augusta market. This is because this is what happened next. As he was trying to do so, some authorities came by, some police officers, and they told him that no, he could not do that. He was forbidden from doing so, and they stopped him, and this obviously angered him. He wanted to be able to do it. He wanted to preach right next to this exact pillar, but then they told him no, and so he decided to do this very next thing. Apparently, he placed a curse, and that's why it's known as the Cursed Pillar, or the Cursed Pillar of Georgia. He placed this curse because of what they did to him, and he stated the following: this entire market surrounding the pillar itself was going to be destroyed, and on top of that, the only thing that would stay upwards, the only thing that would basically be standing or left standing, would be the pillar itself. That was the curse that he placed, and then he left afterward. No one knows again who this evangelist was, name, wherever he came from, but as mysterious as he was there, he left, but he definitely left with that strange curse, the one that everyone thought probably back then was just the rantings of someone, that was not necessarily all right altogether. They just thought, you know what, get him out of here, and then that was it. That was the last they heard of this evangelist. Well, lo and behold, a short time later, right there in Augusta, Georgia, there was all of a sudden a very quick tornado that formed, and this tornado blew through that area, blew through the market, and it destroyed everything, the entire market itself. Nothing along the lines left standing, except, guess what? that one single pillar, that one item, the one again the evangelist said would absolutely be the one left standing. That's exactly what occurred. And so immediately, of course, people started talking about it. It became its own urban legend. People started to tell the plights of this evangelist, everything he predicted, how it came through, and it became a very, very popular item. This pillar almost took on a life of its own. Apparently, throughout the years afterwards, stretching into the 30s, into the 50s, and then upwards, everything involving this pillar, people would come on by to try to take a look at it. So much so that eventually one of the mayors there in Augusta, a guy by the name of Will Jennings, even hired a press agent to try to spread more word. I imagine he did this because any good word or bad word is always publicity, and that leads to business. And so anything as far as this market enjoying the fruits of the notoriety of this pillar, by all means, get those people in here, get them shopping around, build that money, all because they're here to essentially inspect this pillar at first. So very interesting stuff. But even then, this curse may actually have been real. There really probably was something tied to it, and that's because of this. Apparently, anyone that tried to do anything to that pillar, even let's say actual workers, people that were hired to do something as far as moving the pillar or doing some kind of restoration. I don't know if there was even touching it was allowed. In other words, people were apparently getting struck by thunderbolts, if you could believe that. Imagine the odds of that. A lightning thunderbolt, something like that, coming straight from the sky. It would hit people whenever they tried to do anything there by that pillar. Or the machinery they were working on was also almost seemingly taking a life of its own. Like they would almost get crushed by the machinery, anyone that was in construction trying to do anything for that pillar. And then that's where the notoriety just grew even more. It even got so bad that the notion was this: anyone who even tried to but tried to actually touch the pillar itself would be killed. Like there would be an almost immediate curse placed upon you, and then within a short time period, you were doomed. You were gonna have something bad happen to you. It's almost like one of those movies out there where if you touch a haunted item, then that's it. That's when you're gonna be done. That's what would happen to you as far as this pillar. But yeah, people that were there in the Augusta market, they seem to be enjoying almost this notoriety. There was a guy there by the name of Bill Prince who runs a location called Bill's Place Liquors. He tells about his experiences pretty much there behind the counter, seeing how people would come by. They would take pictures of it. They would touch it. They would wrap their hands around it, stand on top of it as well. Some of them would even try to take little chips here and there, maybe whatever was standing around, maybe loose, and then that way they could take it home. He was kind of perplexed by it, the way I was reading this information. Like to him, it was just another everyday pillar, but at least it gave him some good experiences, like whatever he was seeing from his storefront about what other people were doing when they came by. Lots of tourists, in other words, that would be interested. And honestly, I would have gone seen it as well. If it was still there to this day, and let's say I was passing by that location near Georgia, I would definitely have put it on my Google Maps and then gone by and then tried to check it out, see it in person, do a little live stream, in other words, right next to it, and then that way I could show everyone here what occurred. But lo and behold, unfortunately, or as I mentioned again, fortunately, in some cases, this thing happened. Sometime in 2016, there was a freak car accident. I don't know if they were driving drunk or if they was just a random accident of some sort, but this car hit this pillar and then it was ultimately destroyed. Like the sheer force of this out of control car happened. The date of it was December 17th, actually, 2016, so not too far bad. And then this thing was just ultimately destroyed. Either way, though, I was reading the information. Apparently that something similar had happened back in 1935, maybe even 1958. I don't think the pillar was totally destroyed back then, but it was definitely impacted by other types of crashes. Ultimately, those were rebuilt, but this time around, at least the one that happened just a few years back, it was decided that nothing would be done. After that time period, December 17, 2016, that was its rest in peace date. This out of control car just smashed into it, and then it's gone. It's done. It's no longer there. If you try to visit the Augusta market, all you'll pretty much see is the location where it used to stand, but it has not been rebuilt as of yet. But someone that's there by the Georgia area, let me know if there's any plans, if anyone has heard anything, maybe more information about it being placed back on top. That'd be really interesting to hear, share with everyone here. Plus, what happened to the pillar itself? I mean, sure, it would have been knocked down, but it still would have had some remains to it, no? So I'm wondering too what happened to those actual pieces. Like, did people take them home? Were they split amongst the population there? Is it placed in some kind of museum? Someone let me know. I mean, it'd be great to see. You would imagine they would have some importance, because if it had this historical marker actually placed right by it, then you could give you an idea that they're not just going to throw those pieces away as far as, this pillar. So if someone has more information on that too, then please let me know. Post those comments below. But that's pretty much it. That's all the info associated with this cursed pillar. Interesting little tale. Lots of info that still remains mysterious, like in terms of that evangelist and how the pillar was even placed there in the first place. But still, it goes to show that if it was there to this day, it would absolutely still have a huge amount of interest. People would still be going there, and count me in too. I would have definitely gone there too. But if anybody had the chance to also go see it at their own, please post those comments too. I would love to hear what your experience was when you ran around. Did you feel anything eerie, anything along those lines? So, all right, everybody. Thanks again as always. Take care. Bye.